Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, I guess I'm back with a tad bit of controversy. So in one of my videos, I was referring to how people be trying to use the Bible verses to prove praying without shoes and different things like that. So, you know, I ain't gonna say the person wasn't feeling it. I don't want to put in my own words. But, you know, they felt like it was clear. And they had a whole little thing, and they actually had an issue with the hadiths where the Rasul prayed in their shoes. So, you know, they wanted to, and, you know, even discuss the wudu of the Bible and all that type of stuff, which I don't consider to be wudu. So what I had to kind of explain, and then I'm just do the video. Let's just go and look at the situation and see what the Quran says about that situation that people want to take from the Bible. Let's just take from the Quran while Allah explains it to us without it being twisted. And y'all gotta forgive me, man. I was laying down, you know what I'm saying? So my eyes look groggy, but let me get up. I want to get up and speak on this, right? So when you go to Surah 20, Surah Taha, right? Let's take a look at the situation. I love the way it start off, right? So Allah Azza wa Jal is talking to the Rasul, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the verse starts off where he actually says to the Rasul, has the story of Musa reached you? Right? Has the story of Musa reached you? So then it says, when he saw a fire, he said to his family, wait here, for I have spotted a fire. Perhaps I can bring you a torch from it, or find some guidance at the fire. Right? But when he approached it, when he approached the fire, he was called by name, O Musa. Right? It is truly I. Verily I am your Lord. So take your shoes off. You are in a sacred valley. The name of the valley was Tuwa, and it's in Arabic. And one of the beautiful things is, if you go and look, probably have to be the older maps, Tuwa is actually a valley in Africa, where we know that Musa was in Egypt, which is on the African continent. And when you look at the Arabic, like right now in Arabic and what we call Egypt, they don't call themselves Egyptians. They know that's something we say, but they call themselves Misrians because they from Misr. So even when you look at the Quran, they translated to English to Egypt, but it actually used the word Misr. So when you know the whole entire area of Misr, before certain wars and stuff broke out, and then they cut off certain parts of the area of Misr and just label one territory of it as Egypt. But Misr covered a whole broader region in the days of the Quran and Musa and them. Before battles and all that, and it got an English title of Egypt. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, which it is, because there's some relevance to it, but we won't get into that. So Allah said, take your shoes off, you are in the sacred valley of Tuwa. So this is the Quran. Now this is some of what they have in Exodus, in the Bible, that they had a book of Exodus. right? Exodus 3:5, something like that. But anyway, so this enough delil that when you are in a sacred place, it's mandatory that you take your shoes off. One, Mecca and Medina are both sacred cities. When you in Mecca or Medina, can you have on shoes or sandals? Yes. You know what I'm saying? They sacred cities. These are sacred areas. This just happened to be a sacred valley in Misr, a certain area in Africa. Now, because Allah is talking to him right there, and when you go to the tafsirs, it says some different things about what could possibly be meant and why the shoes was to be removed. But if this is the delil, then you can't wear shoes when you're in Mecca, and you can't wear shoes when you're in Medina. Now, we have to look at, if they want to use this as delil, the way they trying to use it. So this is why you have to look at things from, is this the way? Now keep in mind, this is how I started off. Allah is saying to the Rasul, has the story of Musa reached you? Like, have you heard this from some of those, the Christians and the Jews that's in your area? Because according to people now, this would have been the Torah. So maybe more Jews would have been telling this aspect. But, and you know, Christians, they deal with it, but they also deal with the New Testament. But anyway, so he asking the Rasul, have you heard about it? So he's telling the Rasul what actually happened. Allah was there, not what's been changed in a book, not how they wrote it. And we don't know what the changes look like, because they could have got something from the Quran and then went and doctored up their book. Like Allah tell us in the Quran that, you know, they'll come talk to the Rasul and this and that and then go change their book. So it's actually some hadiths on some of the changes with the conversations, and it tripped me out because I went and looked. I'm looking at the hadith on some of the changes that they put in the Bible after a conversation with the Rasul, and I went and looked in that Bible and found it. And it's talking about the whole conversation, man. I was like, subhanallah, thing. And it had to deal with adultery and fornicating, like, but let me not get off topic. So anyway, do you have to take your shoes off in Mecca and Medina? No, you don't. And they sacred cities. So when you look at the Quran, one, you have to look at how did the Rasul understand it? And then how did the Rasul teach it? Was this the understanding that the Rasul had? No. Was this what the Rasul taught the people to understand it this way? No. You understand? So, but look at how it continues to go on. Now look at some of the beauty of these ayats. Now Allah is telling Musa, I have chosen you. So listen to what is being revealed. Right? The wahi, the revelations. Right? Listen to what I'm finna reveal to you. It is truly I. Verily I am your Lord. There is no deity worthy of worship except me. So worship me alone and establish prayer for my remembrance. Right? Establish prayer for my remembrance. Verily the hour is coming. My will is to keep it hidden so that every soul may be rewarded according to their efforts. Every person may be rewarded for that which they strive for. Everybody gonna be held accountable for what they did. See, if they knew exactly when the hour was, they probably act the fool right up to that very last moment. You see what I'm saying? So Allah is saying He keeping it hidden. So what should we take from that? Establish that salah for Allah's remembrance. You see what I'm saying? Because the hour is coming and it's hidden. Now there's signs for it. But this is just some of the ayats. But look what Allah goes on, continue to tell him, and listen what I'm revealing to you. It says, so do not let those who disbelieve in the hour, or just disbelieve period, and follow and those who disbelieve and follow their desires distract you from it, or you will be doomed. Don't let them divert you, because you know what I'm saying? You're going to perish. Look at that beautiful advice. Now, it goes into salah. Now it's saying go and establish the worship. But did it say make wudu before you do it? Did it say take your shoes off before you do it? No, but it did say you standing right now in a sacred valley, and we right here having this discussion. Take your shoes off here. Not everywhere you go, not anywhere that you consider to be sacred, but right here. But this was for Moses. This was for Musa. Now, was his salah 5 times a day? Was his salah the exact same way that we have to do it? See, this is why the Rasul came, to complete this message, because the people didn't take what Musa gave them. So this is not the dalil. This is not the dalil. So we looking at what the Quran say. The Bible is abrogated. But we'll just touch these other parts, and it blew my mind because, they was going to, and I know they looked up something on Google about, trying to belittle the hadiths. Now, if somebody want to take that ayat or take what they seen in the Bible and say, due to this, we feel like you can't wear shoes in churches. So overseas, there is some churches where they don't allow you to wear shoes in churches. When you get up around the Asians, Indian continent, it's from their culture. It's from their cultures to take shoes off in homes and different things based off of certain things like that. I'm not saying put shoes on in your house. I'm not saying put shoes on when you go in the masjid. But we just talking about, where was these commandments? Did they come from Allah Azza wa Jal? Did the Rasul and them wear shoes in their house? Yes. Cool. They had dirt floors. You know what I'm saying? But if they had dirt floors and it didn't make their houses impure, right? Have some dust on the carpet that you could make tayammum with, make the whole building impure. You see what I'm saying? Plus, all masjids, all homes, they not sacred. We go by what's sacred in accordance to what Allah said is sacred. It could be sacred to you. So we just speaking on real dalil and the understanding that the Rasul had. And these is Muslims who changing up the deen because they don't believe in hadiths, when they taking something that was for the people of the book and trying to use it for us. This is just Allah Azza wa Jal telling the Rasul about the story, the true parts of it, making clear what really went on, not what they changed it up to. Now, I haven't read all of Exodus and all of that, but I was familiar with it because I remember Ahmed Deedat, Joshua Evans, and a few people, they used to try to use these verses to bring Christians to Islam. And they had some success in it, but what I noticed is, like the people who I know who use that rhetoric, they can't leave that Christianity alone. And it's not the same thing. Even with the wudu. Let's look at what they try to say is the origins of wudu. When you go to Exodus 30:17, The Lord said to Moses, make a bronze basin. With its bronze stands for washing. The passage continues instructing Moses to place the basin between the meeting tent and the altar and fill it with water. Then it said Aaron and his sons, not everybody. Well, it do say this is a practice for his descendants. But listen, Aaron and his sons are then to wash their hands and feet with the water from the basin before entering the meeting tent or approaching the altar to serve as priests. That's not the same thing what wudu is for. Now, if you want to say, it's saying before you enter into the musala area, wash your hands and feet, and before you get up on the minbar. Now, if you want to use that, that's cool, right? So, before entering the meeting tent or approaching the altar to serve as priests, this is to be the rule that Aaron and his descendants follow from then on so that they will not die. So they have to wash their hands and their feet before they go in the meeting tent or before they approach the altar. Now, altar has a lot of different things in this day and time. Some people use an altar to sacrifice people. Some people make some form of an altar and they stand up under it to get married. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to go with, I feel like an altar was somewhere where they stood and preached. A minbar, but it wasn't no steps. I done seen them make altars with these arches. I done seen them make altars where they put stuff on top of it and put candles on it and burn candles. So I don't know what this altar looked like. But this is what it says, wash your hands and feet before you go to the altar. Now there may be some other verses, I'm not really familiar with it, but I know this right here, what was pointed out to me, this isn't wudu what we make. So this isn't the Bible proving wudu like we took this form of wudu from them. And I did look at some of the things where they were saying this was like a form of baptism. So they said that's why, like, you could see where Catholic churches, where I guess they follow a small form of Judaism, they have a copper basin with some water on it, and when they had a new baby, to baptize a baby or something, they take a little of the water like this and pour it over their head or whatever with some candles by an altar. They saying this was some form of what that has morphed into. But all I'm saying is, one, this isn't wudu. This isn't the exact same thing as Islam. But I will say, just go and look and see what the Quran says. Look what the Quran and the Sunnah tells us. Because there may be some similarities, but there are some differences. And we know that stuff is abrogated. That's why Islam came to perfect and complete the message that the people didn't follow from Musa. So, I understand, man, we can't leave that Bible alone. And then when you go and look at the history of the tradition of taking shoes off in homes and churches, it was some of these people who took that and said you can't do this in the church, so therefore you can't do it in your home. And it was a real big thing amongst these groups of people. And it spread throughout the Asian Minors. The Arabs, I agree. I don't walk around in my house with shoes. I do agree with that. But I'll also say it came from culture. It came from culture. If you don't believe it came from the culture, without twisting things up, go find where it's in the Quran and Sunnah. Not just this is the opinion of the people, and then it became the opinion of the scholars, because this is something that came from culture. You see what I'm saying? Because you're going to look and see that the Rasul did different things. just the origins. But you know what I'm saying? I understand it. I'm not saying pray, go in the masjid and pray with shoes on. I'm not saying that. But I have heard some scholars that say, due to this and wanting to, it was some people referring about Sheikh Mukbil. And what they were saying that Sheikh Mukbil, I didn't hear him, but I heard some students of knowledge saying Sheikh Mukbil when they was talking about how you can't pray with shoes off in his masjid. Whether he said it or not, or whether the other scholars were saying it, but this is what they said, and I can see the point. Basically, these people, the Muslims got to a point where they started to compete with these other religions and making big, beautifying masjids and putting, like I think it was even at one time when I was kind of new to Islam, and I was reading a thing about the cloth that they put over the Kaaba, that it used to have real gold Arabic words put over it. I just remember years ago, I don't know if it was real gold, but basically they were saying how the Muslims fell into beautifying these places like the Catholics and the Greeks and all these people at those times, making these big, huge churches into cathedrals and all this other type of stuff, and putting golds and trimmings and diamonds and big expensive chandeliers and all of these real expensive carpets. You know what I'm saying? So coming along with all this money that they spent on carpets and stuff, it was really more so about not walking on these carpets in your shoes, as opposed, we spent all this money on this beautiful carpet, take your shoes off, as opposed to Quran and Sunnah. And he was saying, had they left that alone, all that money that had been wasted, all on these carpets, all on these over-beautifying these places of worship, could have been spent on the poor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you could see that. You could see extremely poor Muslims that need some assistance, walking in a big old huge $1 million, $2 million masjid with probably a $50,000 carpet. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm familiar with a very small masjid, and I seen them, the board got into an argument because they wanted this Turkish carpet, and they spent $15,000 they spent $15,000 on enough carpet, probably for about 3 rooms, like this room, and then you can add like maybe another one without these walls, like $15,000 on some carpet, and some of the people went ballistic because they footed the bill of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, y'all spent $15,000 importing this carpet? It's people that's starving. So, Imam Mukbil's point was, had people not got into competing with other religions on how they was doing their buildings and their churches and all those type of things, and the Muslims would have just kept it simple and focused on worshiping Allah. Yeah, that, not saying your masjid shouldn't look good. I'm not saying that. But I understand what he was saying, and that's why he kept it simple. And he didn't want that sunnah to be lost. We pray in our shoes in here. You don't want to pray. If you got something on that's bad, wipe them off. Because you got to keep in mind, you can make tayammum with dust and dirt and the earth. And once you do that, it's permissible to pray in it. So, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, I get it. I would, if I spend some money on some carpet and different things, just like how I say with individuals, if you ain't gonna clean those shoes off real thorough, Because I'm going to keep it 100. I done been in some masjids where individuals had cats in the masjids, and cats had no litter box and urinated all over all the carpets. The ceiling leaks and it didn't get fixed. So like when you go in there and walk, it's like you stepping in water all on the carpet, and you can smell the mildew throughout there. Mice run through it, people coming in with athlete feet smelling all horrible and all that. I'm just keeping it 100. And walk all over the carpet. And where people praying at. And it gets cleaned? Never. Not shampooed. Like in 5, 6, 7, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, carpet never been cleaned. Mildew, mold, athlete feet, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? On the carpet, sweaty, funky feet. But it do get vacuumed and hit with a little carpet fresh. Somebody want to pay for some. So you still got, you know what I'm saying? You still have to deal with certain things. But so I just wanted to touch on that, man. We really need to lose that using the Bible to prove Islam. When it falls into something that's within our desires. Now let's just use the Quran al-Kareem, man. Let's use the Quran and Hadith. They want to use that biblical verse so much that they reject the Hadiths. They reject the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because they want a Bible verse to prove Islam so bad. Not realizing you actually rejecting Islam, calling yourself trying to prove it with a version of Christianity. That's Majnoon, man. But let me get back to what I was doing, man. Let me get back to laying down, man, so I could get back up. I had to get up and address that, man. My bad for going too long. But that's just to say, man, let's stop trying to use Christianity to prove Islam, man. That stuff was for certain people of the book. Like if you want to go that far, they used to observe the Sabbath. Should we observe the Sabbath too? You know what I'm saying? Should we observe the Sabbath too? Should we wait till Saturdays and keep our lights off and all this stuff until 7 p.m. or whatever them rules they is? Don't never leave the house on a Saturday. You can't fish. You can't do no business. Can't get no money or none of that. That was for them. Should we do that too? Like, come on, man. There's all type of different things that was for them. You know, should we do it too? Should we do it too? Because there were certain things in the Bible that they couldn't do. Like, come on, man. We gotta be real with ourselves, man, and quit. Like when you get in the tafsirs, we don't mix that with this. This is Islam, baby. Let's just leave it what it is, man, and quit twisting it and turning it into what we want it to be because of what we used to seeing. Because what we're used to seeing. You know what I'm saying? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can see all type of authentic hadith where when it was raining and they didn't have no ceiling in their masjid and they make a salat, they coming up with mud and water on their face, Jack. Do that mean their prayer was invalid? Oh man, you got shoes on. We paid $500 million gazillion on this carpet, and your shoes gonna mess it up. We don't want that sooner happening. We paid too much money on this carpet. You gonna get dirt on it. Man, the Rasul and them prayed in dirt. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I'm not advising people to do that. But let's not throw it away and try to make it impermissible and turn it into something else because people spent a whole bunch of money on some carpet. let's just keep it what it is and say, due to this, yeah, that is the sunnah, but praying without the shoes on is permissible, and due to it being permissible, and we spent all this money on carpet and beautifying this masjid, we don't want no dirt on it. And alhamdulillah, we Muslim, we gonna respect that. Yeah, we can respect that. Alhamdulillah. But let's quit changing the deen and trying to tear stuff down and throw it away. That's authentic. Because it don't fit the narrative that we push. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.